Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We will get people jumping in at various points as they're able to join. I'll keep an eye on the lobby for that purpose. We've got a reasonably busy agenda. I am recording the session. I will make the slides available afterwards as well. So if you are not able to join us live, hopefully the recording will be useful and the slides will be useful for further links, etc. Okay, let's have a look at tonight's agenda then. We're going to just do a few quick introductions. Maybe we'll leave those because the person I really wanted to introduce isn't actually on the call yet, but will be joining us later. I'm joined by Paul Hunt, who's going to talk about physical computing and CPD. I think we're waiting for a colleague of Paul's to join as well to help with that session, but we'll play that one by ear. Alan Harrison may be known to you. He works at William Hume Grammar School. Oh, just about to join us. So let me just get Alan in the call. So Alan's going to talk a bit about physical computing, and I'm just going to share a few resources depending on how much time we've got, things I've come across that I think will be useful for you just generally. I'm also going to just share with you some slides that I'll be using for United Teaching later this month. I've got a couple of safety updates, and then I'd like just to have a little discussion at the end about how we find time for primary computing, because as I go round, I find that is one of the biggest challenges for you. You know, where do you fit this in your busy curriculum? So I don't have a magic wand or an answer for that, but it'll be just useful to just hear from you about how you've been able to carve out time, if indeed you have, or if it remains a challenge. You know, what are those challenges?
Have a good evening and the rest of the attention, Bella.
Okay, I'll just get people to just pop on mute,
You can do really good.
just so there's not too much background noise. So there we go. And then a chance just to share anything you've been doing, anything of interest you've come across, and sort of final sort of questions. Okay, let's leave this little bit because I don't think Ozzy's on the call yet. As you may know, we lost Gemma. She left our team and joined Portsmouth LEA as a digital kind of champion there. So we have managed to recruit OC as a replacement, and when OC is able to join the call, I think he's travelling at the moment. At the end, we'll hand over to him just for a brief introduction, just so you know OC and his role in the team. Okay, I'm going to start with Paul and Alan on this section here. They're going to talk a little bit about physical computing, but I think, Paul, you want to talk first about some of the CPD offerings that you've got available at the moment. Have you got your own deck of slides that you want to share?
No, I haven't come with a PowerPoint or anything. This is all just to introduce what we do and who we are, because I'm not sure that everyone is aware of the NCCE and how it works. So if I can just go through that, I might share my screen to go on to the Teach Computing website so we can see some of the different areas that are available on there for everybody. But really all I wanted to start with is just to see if anyone has actually heard of the NCCE and the offers that are available. Yes, so we've got a couple of hands up there. If you haven't heard of the NCCE, it's the National Centre for Computing Education, and it's obviously a national body which has been set up and is funded by the government. And the idea is that we are training teachers up to be able to confidently deliver computer science at primary and secondary and Key Stage 5 as well. So we cover a whole range of things. Also, part of my role is I am the computing lead for United Learning as well. So well, there's a few sort of names that get bandied around, but I can take any queries or anything that anyone's got about computer science within United Learning, as well as offering you the CPD offer that is from the NCCE. Now, we offer a whole range of different courses from teaching and leading Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. There's also pedagogy courses. There's also all sorts of leadership courses, so senior leadership courses, and everything you can think of in between. And there's a physical computing course, which is I'm going to mention later, and Alan is hopefully going to take you through some of the aspects of that, because we can offer you all sorts of nice incentives to do the physical computing side. Well, I'll just quickly explain that. We have kits available. They're free to use. We'll send you a complete class set of there's either the Cromwell kits or the microbits or Raspberry Pi Picos. And these are all little physical computing kits that you can use in the classroom. And they're free to use. You can hire them, you can borrow them from us, totally free of charge. And the only stipulation is that you have to attend one little training course on how to use it, and then you're free to use it. And we give you a kit for 6 weeks. There's 17 of each of the different kits in one big kit, so you've got enough for a class set that's 1 between 2. But Alan will take you through those in a moment. What I really want to do is just show you the Teach Computing site, because there's loads of stuff on there which is again all free. We've created a curriculum. There's a curriculum on there that you can use, and associated with that curriculum, it's all national curriculum mapped as well. There's a lesson plan and all the resources you need for every lesson and every subject and every topic, all key stages and key stage 1 and 2. And also, if you come on the courses, if you want to go on any of our CPD courses, they are funded. I think we charge you around £60 a course, but you can get a bursary back of about £400. So it costs you £60 to go on the course, but we give you £400 back. So that's quite a good deal. Now I'll see if I can just share the website. Bear with me a moment. Okay. Share my. Right. Oh, hang on. Right. So you're probably seeing yourselves on there. I'm going to switch that over. Right. Is that okay? Questions just popped up. Is the bursary ring fenced in any way? No. The idea behind the bursary was that you only get one per school. So one teacher can go on it, one teacher gets a bursary. But because it's quite a lot, that would pay for other teachers to go on the course as well. So you can use it for that. And also the idea was also that it would pay for cover. So if a teacher needed to come out of school for the day, it would pay for cover. But it isn't ring fenced. We don't stipulate in any way what you have to use it for or how you use it. It's totally up to the school. The school gets the bursary, not the teacher, unfortunately. So it's up to you how to use it. Right. If everyone can see the screen, I'll quickly just show you on here. This is the Teach Computing website, and from here you can look at all of our areas about us. So we've got all the teaching resources on here. So there's, if I just quickly go into there, you'll see that there's a Teach Computing curriculum. Now this is all been looked at and approved by Ofsted, so this is all above board, as it were. It was developed by the NCCE in conjunction with Raspberry Pi and other organizations. And you can see if we go into one, you get a full set of lessons for each year group, with a curriculum map and a guide on how to do it. And each area has all of the lessons you need. Each lesson is written out, lesson plans and assessments and everything that you need is in there. Should be able to see the site. Can you see my screen? If you can see the screen, then you
Is
should
it
be able
just
to...
me because I'm on the Teams
Yeah, we can.
app?
I can see it, Emma. So it may be just a local issue you're having.
If you
Maybe
want to,
because I'm on the app. I'll try on the browser.
if you just want to go to it, well, you know, you can hear me talk and you can look at it separately. It's teachcomputing.org is the website, and so you can just load that up and have a look. And so on there, there's all these lessons for each of the key stages, all the units, everything's been written out in a curriculum that's approved by everybody. And it's all free to use, but it's not written in stone. You can take it, adapt it, do whatever you like with it. Okay, this isn't, you know, you have to follow this, you know, step by step. This is, you can pick and choose from it, cherry pick from it. It's all free for you to use in any way that you wish. Okay, so everything's there. That's all free on the website, and also on there you'll find all of the courses. So you can go in there and find a course that might be appropriate to you. So let's just look for some Key Stage 1 courses. And there are all sorts of courses on, ranging from, well, computing on a budget to starting year 1 short course. Whatever you want to do, there is a course on there somewhere. But if there isn't a course on there that you want to do, you contact us and we will put on a bespoke course for you. We can do that as well. So there are lots and lots of courses. We send out a little newsletter with information to all the courses on there every now and then. So you should receive those. If you don't receive anything like that, then again, if you just contact me, I will send you all of the information. Now, I mentioned funding, so let's go through that. So there are funding, there are fees. So as I said, primary is £65, but you do get well, they call it a subsidy now, a bursary. And you can apply for that. There's only one per school, one teacher per school, £220 a day. So you can claim up to £440 back for going on a £65 course, which is, well, I'll leave you to work out the maths. That's pretty good. And so you can do that. Now, like I say, it's only one per school, and I believe it's one per year as well. So there are some restrictions on it, but it's money that's sitting there, which the government have allocated, and so you might as well use it. Come on a course and we'll give you some money. That's seems like a good deal to me. So there are lots and lots of courses that you can choose from. You can just go through the training and support, look for the courses and find what you want. Now, the other thing, I know I'm going very quickly, but I know Alan wants to get in and have a talk as well. The computing hubs. Now, each area has a hub, a school, which is sort of in control of all of these courses and bursaries and physical computing kits and everything. And so they will contact you, and the computing hub can also offer support. So we can send people into your school to help you set up the curriculum, help you set up computer science as if you haven't already got it going in your school. And we can take you through all of the support that you need to be able to do this, because we realize, and this is partly why the NCC exists, that not every teacher is happy with computer science. It's not a subject that everyone is an expert in, so we can support you and train you and get you confident with computer science, as you know, it needs to be part of the national curriculum. And so that's where the subject matter experts would come in. They can help with that, and there are hubs all around the country. But what I would do from this, if anybody is interested in pursuing this any further and finding out what support is available, what courses you can go on, all sorts of things, I can do what's called a needs analysis with you. We do a quick phone call, sort of 20 minutes or so. And then from that, I can build up a plan for you, and that will then be given to your local computing hub, and they would pick it up from there, and they would then carry you on if you're not in our area. If you're in our area, which is the south of England, then I would do it myself, and we would work together to set up the support and training and everything that you need. Okay, I'll just stop sharing the screen now. Okay, so I know that's a lot of information to throw at you very quickly, and there's probably more questions that you've got, but if Alan is ready, it would be nice now if he could talk to you about the physical computing side, because that's something that we're trying to encourage people to use at the moment. So Alan, are you okay with that?
Yeah, sure, Paul. I don't know, are we recording this? Do we want to record this or not?
Yeah, it is being recorded,
It's being
Alan.
recorded, yeah.
All right, excellent. Good. So what I'm going to do is turn my main camera off and then share my desktop. What I'm going to share with you, hopefully, is a Crumble demo. But first of all, what I'll do is I'll talk to you about the pieces of kit that Paul mentioned. So I'm just going to share my whole screen. And okay, so you should see some software on the left that looks like Scratch. Can you see that?
Yep, we can, Alan.
And a camera viewer. So I'm going to use my visualizer viewer, and you should see some bits of kit on my desk. Is that okay?
Yep.
There we go. All right. Right. Okay. So what we've got here is, you might recognize this as a Raspberry Pi. I think I've flipped. That's it. So that's a Raspberry Pi. We can lend those out. Now they're whole computers. That's basically a small computer in a box, and you run a version of Linux on it, but it looks quite user friendly, and you can run things like Python on it or Scratch. And you can, what I do with this is I code in Python things that mess about with Minecraft. Kids love that. So it's coding that, so you can basically write a program to give yourself a superpower in Minecraft by using Python. Many things you can do with that. You can see along the top there, the row of pins, they're all the input and output pins. So you can connect all sorts of things to that. You can connect a camera to it using that port there and do all sorts of things. That's quite complicated, takes a little while getting used to. Easier than that, if you want to introduce some computing, is something like the microbit, or what I'm going to demonstrate today is the Crumble. So the Crumble is a very simple piece of kit. It has a small microcontroller in the middle there, and basically lots of input and output pads, they're called, on the outside. So I'm just going to show you how quick it is to set up and to program. So I've run through this a few times recently. So let's just do it. What we need to do is we need to power it up. Okay, so I think I am flipped left, right. So I am going to do that. That's better. Now I can see what I'm doing. So we need to power it up. So we've got some power here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to, this is a cable that I got online. Normally you get a battery pack with it, but I'm going to power it off a portable charger. So that's it powered up. And I'm going to plug it in with the USB here to my computer. and use the software that you can see on the screen. If I can get the USB the right way around. It's always the third time you try, okay, the USB. So I just need to unplug my mouse, hopefully not my visualizer. And there we go. And so it's connected to the computer via the USB, and it won't do anything unless we give it some output. So we get these things. This is called a sparkle, and it's basically an LED, a neopixel LED, which means it can shine in many different colors. So that's really good for output. So we need to connect it through. So we need to power up the sparkle, and then we need to pass it some input, which you'll see in a minute. So I'm just powering up the sparkle, and it's got little arrows on it to show you which way around it goes. So it helps if I go black to black and red to red. It would make more sense for later on. Okay, so that's that. Let's use a red one. You get the kids to use the same cables each time. Red for positive and black for negative. Your physics teacher will thank you. Okay, so I've now got, it looks a little bit untidy because these cables are quite long. I've now got the crumble and a single sparkle attached to it. Okay, and the cables are just in the way, but you'll be able to see that on the camera. Great, so that's great, but we need to tell it what to do. So we've got a program over here on the left. So if I pick up a block, this is very like Scratch. So if you've ever used Scratch, the blocks look very similar. So program start, and what we'll do is we'll just set sparkle to red and run it. Okay, guess what I haven't done? I've powered up the sparkle, but I haven't given it an output. So the D-pad here is where you connect through to the sparkle with the signal that you want to pass through to the sparkle. Okay, so when I run this program, it should work, and I haven't powered on. Okay, so now I'm going to program. This was working this morning. There we go, got some power going now, and there we go. All right, so that should be quite bright on the camera. So one simple program, and there it is, set sparkle to red. Okay, so obviously the sparkle comes in many colors, so we can set it to yellow and then just run the program again. The USB cable will just download the program via the USB cable to the crumble. So that little microprocessor there, I've just knocked cables, I think, is now running that program, and it's passing the output to the sparkle. And I've just disturbed the cables enough that it's not doing it anymore. So okay, so if I'm having trouble with power, so I'm just going to power it up from somewhere else. So just bear with me. Okay, so if I power it up directly from there, I knew this was going to be a little bit awkward today. So, so we saw briefly the whole thing working, but I'm now having trouble keeping power to it effectively, I think. And I'm just trying to get power from somewhere else.
Joys of live demos, Alan.
I know it worked briefly. The whole demo worked fine earlier this afternoon, and now I'm not able to power it up. So I'm just going to try one more thing. And we're off. Okay, so I think that power pack was dead. So we've got set sparkle to yellow. So you can get your learners to have fun with sequence. So we're coding a sequence now. Set sparkle to yellow, wait 1 second, set sparkle to red, wait 1 second. And if I run that program, it does that. You see it change from yellow to red. But that's no good. That's just a sequence of 4 commands. So why don't we loop that forever and see what happens if we introduce a loop? So remember, we're teaching sequence selection and iteration. So here's an iteration, and you should see that's quite bright on the screen. It is changing from red to yellow here in my room, or red to green, really. Okay, it's just burning out the visualizer camera. So now the kids are enjoying making the sparkle flash as an output. So we're teaching loops. Okay, that's just an endless loop. Well, that's no good. It will never stop. So why don't we get rid of the endless loop and do until something happens? Okay, so now we need to put something in here. So we really want this crumble microprocessor to respond to input now. So that if you look over here, we've got do until, and we'll do until A is high. A is an input on the left there. So on the crumble, down on the left-hand side here, these are the inputs, A and B. The outputs are over there. We know we've got an output connected to D at the moment. The sparkle is connected to D. So what we'll do, it says do until A is high. That means carry on looping, flashing the sparkle until we get an input on A. So as you can see, I've just put another yellow crocodile clip cable, and I've just taken power off the plus pad there at the top. That's powered up. We know that's powered up. So if I take power and then touch it to the A pad, I'm making the A pad. I haven't run the program. I've forgotten to press run and download the program. So I'm simulating a learner making his way through this. Okay, so now the new program's running. If I now touch the A pad, it should stop the loop, and it has. So it's no longer flashing over here. It stopped on red, which is interesting. So you can use this program to remind learners that this sequence, this loop here, it only tests the input A at the start of the loop. So you can say to them, oh, I've got a challenge. Can you stop it on yellow? Okay, so there it is flashing. Yellow, red, yellow, red. I'm going to stop it on yellow. Oh, wait, it went to red before it stopped. And this demonstrates that a condition controlled loop, the do until, is only tested every time you enter the loop. It's not tested after the sparkle is set to yellow and before the sparkle is set to red. This is a common misconception that's in the research papers, that pupils believe that a condition controlled loop tests its condition after every statement. And so we can dispel that misconception really early. That's looping. Okay. Paul, if you can keep an eye on the chat in case there's questions, I'm unable to at the moment. So that's looping. And if I just pull those out of there, we can introduce, we've got if then, okay, but if we go into control, we've actually got if then else. So I'm going to put if then else in there, and I'm going to break up these commands here, and I'm going to do a condition. Okay, oh, I've missed that. So on one condition, sparkle's going to be yellow. On another condition, sparkle's going to be red. For the purposes of the camera, I'll try blue. It might show a bit better. So I need one more crocodile clip. This is where it gets a bit fiddly with the crocodile clips. I need power again. So I'm taking power off that crocodile clip. I've now got 3 on the 1 pad. Okay. So we know it's going to loop until A has input. But now if I go back to basics or into input and output, and I drag that condition, change it to B, what we've got there is if B is high, then set sparkle to blue, else set sparkle to red. And the whole thing is looped until you give an input on A. So we've got everything there. We've got sequence, selection, and iteration in one program. So if I remember to press run, it will download the program to the crumble. Okay. And it's red. The LED is red at the minute. So that's because over here on the program, I said if B is high, then else. So B is not high, so the else condition is running. So the sparkle is red. So watch what happens when I touch this white crocodile clip, which is getting power now from the plus pad, and I touch it to the B symbol, the B pad, it changes. Now you should be seeing that on the screen, even though it's sort of flaring a bit on the camera. It's going from red to blue when I touch the B pad. So that's selection in action. Now you could put switches on these crocodile clips. You could have some fun with them. I've seen a year 5 class use a crumble with this, almost this exact program, to test materials for conductivity in a science lesson. So of course, if I was to take a coin or a key, got a coin here. Oh, I actually have £1 in my pocket. That's rare. Okay, I've got a coin here. So if I hold it to B, you can see that it goes blue. So the coin is conductive. And if I use something else, okay, here's a plastic pen, and that won't change the sparkle to blue. And of course, we've still got the loop. Okay, so the minute the sparkle is changing to blue whenever I put an input on B. And of course, if I touch an input to A, I didn't actually need, thinking about it, I didn't actually need 2 crocodile clips. I could have used the same one. By touching a powered up crocodile clip to input A, I've basically stopped the loop running and stopped the program. So if I now try to touch B, it will no longer change the red to blue. So that's how easy it is if you manage to get it set up right in the first place and get power to it. And what happened was this was flat. My little charger that I was trying to power it up with, that'll teach me. So I've got it powered up off something else. So there's your crumble. Okay, USB cable to the computer. That's over there. And in this window, I've got my program running. And every time I press play, the program very quickly downloads. It's much quicker than the microbit. If you've ever used the microbit, it just goes boom. Couple more things. So if I just go back to, if I just search on here, there's a very nice quick setup guide. The crumble itself, you can borrow from us at the hub, or if you want to buy them, you can buy them from Fortronics or from Redfern Electronics and a few other places. But the one thing, Fortronics crumble guide PDF, yeah, this page here is pretty much a one-pager for, there was a one-pager I had up earlier, but this is the slightly longer version. You can see all of the bits you can get to add on to it. That's a light sensor, which is great. So you can make things like burglar alarms that respond to light, or light sensitive cameras and stuff. That's a motion sensor. That's just a button, but you can use anything. You can use any electronics equipment and attach it to the Crumble proximity switch. Some of these are really nice. So that's when you go near it. Okay, you wave your hand over that and it will cause an input to happen. These are called crumbs that go with the Crumble, and there's loads of them. Capacitive touch switch. So you basically put your finger across the two pads and make a circuit and so on. Passive infrared's always nice. And some nice output, traffic lights and so on. So all I've got today to show you is a single sparkle. Motors, of course, are good. These pads at the bottom, you can connect motors to, and in the NCCE resources, the Teach Computing resources, they suggest you get the Crumble starter kit, and that comes with a motor or two, and you make it spin a little card with a picture of a disco dancer on or something and flashing lights. So the idea is the output is a disco going on. That's about it. Sorry about the hiccup at the beginning, but hopefully that's shown you how easy it is to get to grips with Crumble and teach sequence selection, iteration, input and output, which are basically the basics of computing programming that we need to teach to Key Stage 1 and 2 and 3. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. That was well persevered. Thank you for getting it all working for us.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Sharing the guides. If any, I think we've got the guides downloaded somewhere, but we can always add in the links if anyone wants those guides. I'm pretty certain we've got some somewhere. And I put in the chat, all the questions have been answered. Paul explained that you get quite a big kit should you want to borrow it. 17 controllers with all the leads and all the bits and pieces. You can make buggies and sparkles and all kind of things. So basically 17 pairs of children could work on it depending on how you want to utilize it in your classroom.
Right.
Can I just
Yeah.
chip in there and say that the kits are free, and each computing hub has a whole set of kits that they can hand out. They are popular though. All of our Crumble kits are out at the moment, and they're booked out until next year now, until January. So if you are interested in taking one from us, then I would get in quick and get in touch with your hub, and we can sort that out as quickly as we can.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. We have priced them up on the spreadsheet that goes on the curriculum website. They're not that expensive, to be honest. So yeah, borrow one if you can. Invest in one just so you get to know it as an individual teacher, and then when you're ready to buy your own, they're not hugely expensive to buy a class set. So yeah, but the loan kit I'm sure will be very welcome. Thanks, Paul. The only other question that came up there is about using them on Chromebooks. We have enabled a Chrome extension for Crumble on the ones that are managed by United Learning, so you shouldn't have any problem with that. Or if you're managing your own, you can just allow the Chrome extension for Crumble kits. It's very easy to use on your Chromebooks, and it's a great way of utilizing Chromebooks in your computing. So thanks, Paul and Alan, for that input. We have recorded it, so you can go through it again. As I say, we've got links to some of the physical computing guides, and I put in the link to our YouTube channel where we've got a few tutorials as well. So we'll kind of build that up as teachers need them. Let me just check in with OZ as I share my screen, go back to our slideshow. Are you able to hear us, OC, on the call at the moment?
Yes, I can. Hopefully you can't hear my engine noise too much.
No, we don't want to cause a major incident on the highways, so keep safe. Basically, I've said that you've taken over from Gemma as an ed tech, and you've got certain special powers with Adobe products. Is that fair to say, OC?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure how strong in the force I am, but yes, I have certain powers with Adobe. Yes.
Can you get a discount?
We can only ask. We can only ask. But yes, Dan, thanks for that introduction. Yes, that is, unfortunately, you're going to have to make do with the picture. I do more or less look like that in real life. I think Dan can attest to. But yes, I'm the new Gemma. For those of you who are familiar with Gemma, I'm taking over from her.
Yeah, thanks, OC. And basically the same schools Gemma worked with, OC will work with. And as I said, he is quite a specialist in the Adobe range. If you had any particular, requirements, in that field, particularly the app-based ones where I think they've changed their name, but basically they're still there, the Spark Video and so on and so forth. So when you're creating media, the Adobe range is another option to go with your Microsoft products and your Apple products. So
yes, it's
good.
now Adobe Express.
That's right,
What
Adobe
used to be
Express.
Spark, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good option for computing when you're creating media. So we'll bear that in mind, and OC will be joining calls as and when he can. He covers both primary and secondary, so he'll work with some of your schools, some of our schools directly, and some will be secondary colleagues. So thanks, OC, just for that brief introduction. We better press on because of
No problem. Thank
time.
you.
And I just want to share a few resources. Obviously, I'm going to share these slides so you can follow up any links that are of interest to you. I'll go through these kind of relatively quickly, but our friends at LGFL do a pretty good job actually of collating computing resources. You don't need to have an LGFL subscription to get this level of support. So this website is available. It goes through pretty well, all the areas that you may be of interest to you, whether it's digital literacy, computer science, or so on. They've also got some useful links to, videos and research. So it's free. Make use of it. Cherry pick the things that you need. Link to that, which is a new one to me, so it's always good to have a look around what's available. The BBC sound effects, we've got a unit in year 4 if you're following Teach Computing where you have to do a bit of sound editing. Obviously we've got perhaps Audacity or an online sound editor, but BBC do their own little sound editor where you can mix different sound effects, cut and shunt things around and then record your own mix of several sounds played together. So that's free to use. It's also useful if you're hunting out, trying to find some free sound effects, whenever your multimedia projects, you need, the cow mooing or the dog barking. It's sometimes a job to find the right sound effects. So here's another site, BBC Sound Effects, that allows you to download them and use them, but also does a little bit of editing. So I hadn't come across that.
Does that work online in the Chromebook, for example?
As far as I know, I haven't. It is an online environment. I haven't tested it in Chromebook.
Because the Teach Computing resources talk about Audacity, so we're looking for an alternative for Chromebooks.
This isn't as complex as or
no, but it'll probably do.
Yeah, for a year 4 project, I think it's a pretty good, substitute.
Good.
So that would be worth having a look at. Our friends at Barefoot update things every now and again. They're a useful set of resources. Again, they'll run workshops. They'll do various resources that might just supplement the resources you have access to. In particular, it's something I come across which I thought was useful, is that they've kind of in Scratch they've coded a Bebop emulator. And it is a bit of a stretch for children, to try and move from the Bebop into Scratch. So this is quite a nice sort of halfway house where you can sort of program a virtual bee-bot using, presses on the forward and the left turn and the go. So it's quite a nice, as I say, intermediary from the concrete to the abstract. So I've given you a link to that if you want to, or everything in Scratch you can kind of copy and make your own version of, so you could make that available to your pupils if you felt that was useful. I certainly think it fills a bit of a gap. And the other gap we've got, as you know, with the materials we've been looking at from Teach Computing, we don't go into early years. There's no early years curriculum as such. But Barefoot do come up with some very good resources for developing computing, or let's say the foundation skills for computing. And again, I've shared some of those on this particular slide deck, which you'll be able to pick up and follow. Here's an example of them. That they show some of the core concepts of computational thinking, whether that's logical reasoning or abstraction, and they give you patterns to carry on, or abstracting parts of the body, or whatever it is. And again, I've downloaded a lot of those resources and I'm sharing them with you. So it is something that I've been asked quite a bit of, since that kind of technology aspect's been taken out of the early years, early learning goals, as it was, is what do we do in early years to support getting children ready for computing? And I think this does a pretty good job. We're also doing a bit of a pilot project this year with 5 sites with a partner, a commercial partner, TTS, and we've got some free resources for those 5 sites, and they know who they are, and they're testing those out, and they're going to write some reports which we will share with you. So we are thinking about what to do about technology, about computing in the early years, and that's where these Barefoot resources and the TTS hardware might be useful. I've got coming up at the end of this month, I've got a day at Langford with our United Teaching people. All our trainees from the primary sector are coming together, and we're going to give them a little bit of an input on computing. And those slides I'm sharing here with you in case they're of use to you. If you have any new teachers, if you want to run any induction, then you're welcome to download my slides, adapt them as you need, and share them with your staff. So that's later this month. It really follows on from the previous set of slides I shared that I originally did for High Hazels. It just builds on that. It may take it in slightly different direction, but there's a certain amount of repetition there, but it's just shared there in case it's of use for you. Online safety updates. It's been anti-bullying week. I'm sure that's been familiar for some of you. Our friends at the kind of National Online Safety, which is kind of our go-to resource, they've been sharing some resources about online bullying. And as you know, the National Online Safety Centre do kind of updates, parental guides, which are always welcome. The format's quite funky, but it's maybe not to everyone's taste, but they're certainly up to date. They've just come out, the latest one is what the parents need to know about Call of Duty. Probably that their children shouldn't be playing it, but the reality is we know children are always accessing games that are perhaps not the most suitable, and this tries to address some of those concerns. Scott asked, can I add these to our school website? Yeah, absolutely. They're free to download. So I think if we can help point parents to the latest guidance, whether it's on our website or whether it's through a newsletter, however you want to do it, that's what they're there for. They're there for parents. They're there to help guide them as best we can. There's a couple of events. One that's just landed on my inbox is the Internet Legends, and that's a special assembly for children on the 8th of December. if you'd like to get involved in that, there's a link there where you can join, and it's again could be useful, especially if you're looking to perhaps supplement some of your online safety content, a top up before Christmas, and the gift buying could be useful. And also, say for Internet Day, make a note of the date, 7th of February, and there's a link there to find out more. Emma, did you have a question at this stage? Do you want to just unmute and ask it? Or was that?
Not a question as such, just last week when we looked at the Snapchat Wake Up Wednesday poster from the National Safety, it talked about things that perhaps we might not want to share with parents. If you remember, there's some things you just got to filter through if you're a primary school, really.
Yeah, and each school may be slightly different in terms of what they think is suitable for parents. So some of our schools will think, why mention this when it's not a problem? All we're going to do is alert people to potentially, ways of behaving badly or whatever, or inappropriately. So ultimately that is a school decision, what you think is best. Given the context of your school, it does vary greatly, and you'll know the issues that you're trying to contend with. And High Hazels, it happened to be a Snapchat issue, and then it's searching through the available information to find the right level of guidance that you want to give your parents. And that's a decision that you'll need to make locally.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah.
Dan, it naturally depends on if it's student facing or parent facing alone. If parents are there with their children, those issues can arise that actually children have been alerted to things. But if it's parents isolated from students, it's best to make them aware of not just what they're facing now, but what they could potentially face in the future, because quite often we presume that parents know when they really don't, and they would greatly benefit from the heads up regarding some of the things that could potentially happen in the future. Hopefully they don't, but just to add to that, it is good to know your setting 100% and know exactly the best way to deliver, but it's just considering which ears are in the room at the time.
Yeah, thanks for that. And a final one from LGFL DigiSafe again. It's their parent-facing site where again you can find some useful guidance. Whether you download that or point parents at it, it's just another site that aims to help. Okay, we haven't got a huge amount of time, but we'll throw it open for a couple of minutes. This is a question that I know Emma's asked me at High Hazels, but she's not alone in this. Schools and computing leads are sometimes facing a real pressure to find enough time for computing. And if we take our curriculum as it stands, the Teach Computing curriculum with Project Evolve materials, we are asking, well, what kind of the program is an hour a week, basically, for, the entire academic year. And if you've got that, that's great. You can deliver that curriculum, but some schools are pressured where they have got a shorter amount of time, and it's just really throwing it open to you. How are you fitting it in? What's working well? Share your successes or challenges. Do you want to, Emma, just get us started, just very briefly, just kind of share your challenge?
So at the moment, we are not doing an hour a week, nowhere near. We are covering the national curriculum. We are using Teach Computing and we're using Project Evolve, but we are selecting the units to ensure coverage rather than the hour.
Yeah. Is anybody else facing something similar, or have you been able to kind of address it by rejigging your curriculum? Chris, I'll pick on you as soon as you're on camera. Well, what are you doing at the Grange in terms of trying to fit it in?
It's really difficult. It's funny. Computing's our monitoring week this week, so I did an afternoon. Well, I say an afternoon, a learning walk this afternoon, speaking to kids, looking in books and whatever, and speaking to teachers. and it's one of those subjects that's just getting squeezed and squeezed. On our timetable, we've got an hour a week, just about. In reality, it's nowhere near. It's just, it's up there with foundation subjects. As much as I hate it, the reality is staff just can't fit it in. And it's something that we are talking about as a school, because we also can't fit in RE and art and PSHE. It's not just computing. And I can sit in a room with the subject leads from them subjects as well, and they'll say exactly the same to me. I'm also the subject lead for music as well, and that's gone. It just goes and goes, and as soon as we've got assessment week next week, so we're doing periods and periods, everything's going to go. And we pride ourselves on not being a read write math school, completely, but it's just not possible. And I know there's a lot of talk online at the minute about the government looking at the curriculum and looking at the subjects, and are they going to take away certain subjects? Obviously computing is not going to be one of those, but something's got to give, because at the minute the breadth of the curriculum as a whole is just too much, and it is the foundation subjects that are just going. It's a real shame. I'd love to say I've got an answer. I really haven't. And again, I've just seen someone come up there. If we've just introduced that this year, the children in year 6, they haven't got the skills, higher up the school, haven't got the skills that we assume they should have. So an hour lesson probably takes 2 or 3 weeks to get through. So you're always playing catch up. So it's really, really hard. Sorry, Dan, I've got no answers to any of
No,
those.
well, I can't wave a magic wand either. I expect Scott's got an answer for us that how they do it at Southway, and he's just going to tell us what the solution is.
I'm afraid not. What I would say is we had some limited success towards the end of last year in summer 2. I think the only way it seems feasible to overcome it is blocking it. I think if you have a commitment to block a unit, we've had some success doing that in year 2, where they've actually, they've fulfilled their commitment to the unit, but only by blocking it. But of course, that's it at the expense of something else. It's the Peter and Paul proverb, isn't it? So
yeah. Okay, well, I think it's one, it's going to be a perennial kind of problem for us. But if people do come up with some interesting or innovative ways, then let's share them. I mean, Rachel mentions that she's finding children a bit like, I think was Chris mentioned, the lack of basic skills. That's a problem. You spend half the lesson logging in, let alone anything else. And then Tamrin says, some of the problems are losing 1 to 2 lessons a term, but they're trialing e-safety project. Project Evolve is a 10-minute start at the beginning of each lesson rather than having an entire lesson. Yeah, so it might be just how you jig things around, how you can fit in some online safety and other. Can you squeeze it in somewhere else, PSHE or whatever. Okay, well, I'm conscious of time, so we'll move on from that. I know Alice has joined us now. Alice had a question about Padlet. Now, Padlet, I was quite a big fan of Padlet, but that must have been 7 or 8 years ago. And Alice was just asking, is anybody using it? Has anybody got any tips or any ideas? Scott, it's in use at Southway, is it?
Yeah, we use it quite a lot, especially in things like maths, where you've got lots of procedural steps, maybe in written methods. So we sometimes put a Chromebook on each table with a Padlet page there. We have a video. Either we've done it ourselves or we've used the White Rose video, so it's playing for the children that need to see each calculation step. So that's worked really well. We've used it for word maths and literacy. And year 5 have really embraced it. And I actually asked them in a staff meeting just to share their practice with everyone else, because what they're doing is generating QR codes and putting it onto the working walls. So they're printing it off, photocopying it, sticking it on the working wall, and the children are scanning it on their iPads so they can get the support they need. And the teachers have actually found it really quite transformative in year 5. I'm just trying to disseminate that feeling across year groups. So year 4 are using it. We're using it in year 6. So it's just trying to use it a bit further down the school, really. But yeah, I mean, we had a teach meet, and one of our colleagues in another school said, we were using that 10 years ago. You know, it's for us, it's like completely brand new. We're so pleased that we're using it. It's like ancient technology, you know, ancient kind of online support, but we love it. Yeah, we're using it a lot.
If it does the job, it doesn't really matter if it was, you know, old hat. So seems a bit of a thumbs up. Rachel was also saying that, you know, she really likes it as well. So Alice, do reach out to Scott. I can put you in touch if you'd like to just kind of get a bit more of an inside story about how they use it in year 6 or year 5 or whatever. So that's useful to share that. Thanks everyone for that. Just as we finish off, you know, if you'd like to chair this meeting in future, please let me know. You'd be more than welcome. It's maybe a chance for you to set the agenda or share your own, you know, your school's approach to computing. We don't want to feel like this is something done. It's a primary computing network lead. If anyone would like to chair the meeting, then just get in touch. You'd be more than welcome. We've got our next meeting. I've confirmed the date with Charlie from the curriculum site. It's Thursday, the 9th of March. I'll send out the, you know, the invites to that at the end of, you know, well, early next week now. And as I say, please get in touch if you'd like to be a more active member, whether you want to chair it or whether you'd like to just talk a bit more at length at it. Please let us know. We'll give you support. You know, it won't be just like, oh, well, over to you, we're not coming along. We'll come along and support you and help you with that. But we just want to make sure that it really represents kind of what you need and what you're doing, you know, rather than, you know, me telling you what I think you should be doing, which is not really the case, because my main role is supporting digital strategy. I'll help out with computing, you know, wherever I can. But you know, if you'd like to have a go at chairing the meeting or speaking at length at it, please let me know. And that was it. So I'm going to stop sharing. Are there any final kind of questions or?
Dan, just something I wanted to add. I think you caught me off guard a little bit during the while I was trying to do my intro while I was driving. But just the point on the updates on the Adobe side of things. As I mentioned before, Adobe Spark is now Adobe Express, and I think their aim is to naturally they're to a certain degree their direct competitor is Canva, and Adobe has the amount of tools that kind of would eclipse Canva, and I think that's where they're heading. Any school in the UK is entitled to a free Adobe Express account. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay for it. But what they're doing is they're bringing in the power of Adobe Acrobat, Adobe Premiere Rush, and a lot of these Adobe tools to this one web browser based program, which is Adobe Express. So you're now able to splice video clips. You're now able to speed up video clips. You're able to add documents from a variety of sources to make one PDF. You're able to upload a PDF and take a page out of that PDF, etc. But there are a lot of powerful tools, as well as the design tools that they have and the things that we mentioned previously that are available to schools for free. So I just thought
yeah, I think
do it a bit more justice than before. Yeah,
probably what we'll get you to do at the next call. Yeah, OC, if we can book you in is maybe, I don't know, a 10-minute demo linked to,
sure.
I don't know, a year 4 unit on media or wherever, you know, where it would kind of fit in, and you can just show us very quickly, you know, how you might achieve that unit using the Adobe tools. Because I mean, we're not saying you have to use this program or that program. There's always lots of different ways of doing it. But I think if you've got the knowledge, it'd be useful to have a 10-minute demo or something like that. Just practically show us how to use. I think the that Canva area is quite interesting, because I know Microsoft have just released something as well to try and catch up with there. So it is a big market area where everyone's trying to, you know, manipulate images and come up with presentations. So that'd be a good one to look at.
I'll be happy to do a demonstration. Scott, to answer your question, it is free indefinitely for schools. If you're an educational institution, you can sign up for free and you've got access to all of the tools there, and you won't get charged. There are no shadow costs. So
thanks, Sosie. And a demo would be fantastic.
No problem.
Maybe you can
yes.
share it next week to show us.
Sure, no problem. I'm due a visit actually, so I'll be in touch.
So any final questions, comments? Otherwise, I'll close the meeting. Sorry, run over a few minutes, but hopefully it's been useful tonight. We'll make sure the recording and the slides are all available to you so you can follow everything up. So thanks very much, everyone, for coming. I'm going to stop the recording here.